Hey, what's going on? I've been playing some of set 6 so far, and I want to show you guys some compositions that I think you should be trying. Keep in mind, this is just a couple of the comps that I like so far. Many other comps exist, and I like many other ones too, but I just wanted to put some easy-to-play comps out for you guys to try when the set comes out on Wednesday. But the comps I have right now, and I don't have them sorted in the tier list either, but we are going to do that on Friday as usual. But we have Arcanists, Challengers, Snipers, Ergot, Innovator, Mutant Malzahar, Yordles, and Assassins. So let's get into all of them. I'll go over when to roll for them, and hopefully by the time Friday comes around, I'll fill out all this stuff here so you guys know exactly what to do. So first things first, Arcanist Lux, many different versions that you could play here. Right now we have the 4 Arcanist version. I've seen 6 Arcanists. I've even seen 2 Arcanists with Victor carry. I've also even seen 0 Arcanists when you go Victor carry. But in this specific comp, I list out 7 units plus an extra guy. That's a smiley face over here. And we have a Lux carry. So for Lux, I like having 1 mana item, 2 damage, and blue buff is the perfect one for that. It's slightly better than Shojin if you do the math out because she has 60 mana. You could also add other stuff such as Scholar to buff her mana up even more because Scholar gives 5 mana every 2 seconds, I believe. And you guys can see here like 7 units, so you could add in 1 more slot. If you want to add in a Scholar, add in a Janna or something like that, but whatever you do, put that person in the backline if you have the Trap Claw. If not, don't worry about it. The rest of the comp, the main tanks are going to be Mundo. Mundo's good because he's going to complement the Victor and Zac by giving Chemtech. Vex is a decent tank if you're going for 6 Arcanists and you want to take out the Bruisers. And then in the late game, you can go for like a 3-item Victor. The only item he really needs is Spear or Shojin. After that, the other 2 items don't really matter too much. Some of the augments that are good for this comp obviously are going to be the Arcanist augments. There's one that gives a shield to everyone. There's one that gives attack damage based on their ability power. So if you ever get one of those, the value of Rabadon's death cap gets up a little higher. So do keep that in mind as you play this build. Apart from that, it's pretty standard play. You just want to roll for a 4-cost unit. So you want to get to level 7 relatively safely. Maybe stabilize there if you're a little weak, and then roll the majority of your gold at level 8 if you can. Next comp, same thing, 2 4-cost carries. We actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 4-costs in this build and 2 5-costs. However, the main carries are going to be your Yone and your Fiora. One thing to keep in mind is that your builds change a lot based on what augments you have, and I do try to list out the core units in some of these builds down here, which you guys can see later. I don't have them filled out for every single comp yet, but I will do this as the set develops. But main carries, Yone and Fiora. I feel like the best item hands down on Yone is the Runon's Hurricane. After that, Bloodthirster's a close second. Some people like Titan, some people like Hand of Justice. Third slot is really variable. You could go in all sorts of different directions. I've seen like Deathblade there too. And then for Fiora, IEJG seems to be like the consensus for the best items for her. And then third item, I like Hand of Justice. Some people like GA. You could also go RFC on Yone as well, but lots of different item options for both of these 2 carries. Main tank's going to be Braum. Warmog's really good. Redemption's really good because you have some melee carries. And then Janna in the backline going to be great. Well, not all the way in the backline. Every time you play Janna, you kind of want her on like second to last row and kind of in the middle-ish so that she gets the most out of her healing. To get up to 4 Challenger, you add in Kaisa and Camille also has the added benefit of Clockwork with Orianna, and Orianna also gives Scholar, which gives your team mana, which is important for both Fiora, Yone, and pretty much the entire team. But yeah, very strong comp. Obviously, whenever you're running 2 carries, you're going to need a lot of items. You're going to need a lot of gold, so do keep that in mind with that comp. Sniper Jhin, another 4-cost carry. We're going to have him in the back line. Last Whisper, Infinity Edge going to be great. The core units down here, Jhin, Janna, Braum, Yuumi, Leona, plus a second sniper. Some people use Misfortune, some people use Quinn, some people use Caitlyn. Again, depends on what you are trying to do, along with what types of augments that you hit during the course of the game. So Quinn's good because she has a like pseudo CC on her ability. Misfortune's good because she is just like the most powerful one. And then Caitlyn's good if you want to run stuff like Enforcer. Next things next, we have Braum as a main tank in the front. We also have Yuumi to attach onto him to stun people in the back line. And then Orianna, I like having a Banshee's Claw on her, and you could run Socialite with Taric, as well as getting the Scholar buff with Janna and Orianna. Obviously, if you have a backline Socialite buff, put Jhin on that square and try to protect him as best as you can. Moving on to the next build, we have the Urgot build. This has a lot of different options here. I kind of put them both on the board you see here. That's why there's so many units. You could either go for the 4 Bruiser and 5 Chemtech variation, or you could kind of do like the Janna utility variation. So if you are going for 4 Bruiser, Trundle, Vi, Zac, Mundo, or Tahm Kench are all great options there. Urgot's going to be the main guy. We do go over the core units down here. So the main ones you always want to have are Urgot, Zac, Mundo, Orianna, and Jinx. And then all the other units you see here, such as like Victor, Janna, Lissandra, those types of champions, they're going to be mixing and matching depending, again, on what augments you get. So if you get one Chemtech emblem, or you get like your team has +1 Chemtech, you'll want to adjust your build accordingly and take out one of the Chemtechs if that's the case. Itemization on Urgot's a little weird. Some people like going full attack damage with like Deathblade, Runons, Giant Slayer, things of that nature. GA is pretty interesting because when he dies, he still shoots out things as he's in the GA thing. One other thing I want to try out is maybe like a Rage Blade on Urgot, because his ability is based off of his attack speed, so that could be interesting to try out as well. But he's going to be your main carry, Mundo's going to be your main tank, and if you get to the super late game, you could itemize Jinx up and even put a scrap item on her, because you generally run scrap with either Trundle or Janna as an extra unit. Let's move on to the next build. We have the Innovator build, so this is the first non-4-cost carry build, kind of. Actually, no, this one still uses 4-cost carries. It's just a little weird. You may have noticed we only have 6 units here. We have Jace, Janna, Heimerdinger, Zillion, Ezreal, and Seraphine. And then we have 2 extra slots there because we have only 6 champions listed out here. So that means you have 2 extra slots to put in a damage unit. So as you guys know, Innovator, it summons a bear or a dragon depending on how many you have, or like a scarab. The higher Innovator you go, the stronger your summon is. And I like having Jace in the front line as a main tank. Some people use him as a DPS in the back line. If that's the case, you obviously want damage items such as like Giant Slayer, Last Whisper, IE. But I like him in the front line with the Stone Plate because you kind of run him tank plus the Innovator thing. As for what's missing in this comp, you do need some sort of damage, so you want to add that into the C slots. What I like personally is using something like Jhin, Orianna, Lux. Literally any 4-cost carry can work in the back line. You just need to get them 2-star. So what one popular strategy is to do is go for the Innovators, get to 5 Innovators, and then just use whatever 4-cost you have items for, or the first one you hit, save up a lot of gold, level up, get Jace 2, and then win through that type of avenue. Let's go on to the next build though. We have Mutant Malzahar. This is the first reroll comp that we're going to go over. So Mutant's pretty interesting because the buff is different every game, so you do have to check and see every single game whether it is worth it to go for a Malzahar carry for Mutant. So I have the buffs listed out here, or the ones that I like using on Malzahar. The best one's going to be Synaptic Web, which is the abilities of mutants cost less to cast, and then the other one is Voidborn, where mutants execute targets they damage who are below 20% health, and mutants also deal true damage. The doable ones, the ones that are like, if you get a ton of Malzahars, go ahead and still do it, but aren't like that great, are Voracious Appetite, which is every time someone dies, you gain AP and AD. Metamorphosis, every 2 seconds you gain Armor, MR, AD, and AP, which stacks. And then the last one is just Bioleeching, which is Omnivamp. These are okay. They're not that great, but if you get like 8 Malzahars early, like you might as well go for the comp. So items on him, I like having Archangels because the fights do tend to last a long time, and then Jeweled Gauntlet is going to finish off as the damage item. Cho'Gath's going to be the main tank. You could play around with different types of mutants. You could also get mutant augments and mix and match that way as well. And if you get to the super late game, Kai'Sa 2-star is pretty useful as well, so you could go ahead and item her up too. How to play this comp, slow roll on level 7 for Malzahar 3. He is a 3-cost unit, so level 7 is going to have the most optimal odds for that. Next build we have is Yordle Veigar. You just want early Yordles for this, and essentially, once you get every Yordle 3-star, you summon like a special unit, which is Veigar, and he does like a ton of damage. There are different ways to play this build. Some people don't even use Veigar, they just play Yordles just to get gold. But I like having the Veigar in because it's more fun that way, and then you itemize either Ziggs or Heimerdinger in the early game to bring you to that point, and then I like having a lot of tank items on Vex. Some people like Bramblevest. I like the Gargoyle Stoneplate because she gains a shield based off of her ability, and since she's like one of your only tanks, it's pretty useful to have this item on her when she's up front like that. Next build we have are the Assassins. This is the last build we're going to go over today. I'm going to list out 2 builds though, so it's kind of like a bonus one. So first one is Shaco Syndicate, and then the next one is Talon and Katarina carry. So the core for the Syndicate version is Shaco, Akali, and Braum, and you could go 5 Syndicate, 4 Assassin. You could go 4 Assassin, 3 Syndicate. I even see some builds where they only go 2 Assassin and then mix in a bunch of other random units that are just generically strong. A lot of different options you have here, but the main thing to pay attention for is just the itemization. So on Shaco, IE, hands down the best item. Whenever you're playing Assassins, IE is always going to be the best item, so both Akali and Shaco should have one. You'll see down here that, like, even on Talon and Katarina, IE is the most important thing. And then after that, a tiny bit of healing is okay with the Hand of Justice. He has some built-in healing with Syndicate, so you don't need to rely purely on the Bloodthirster, but having extra is always nice. And then personally for me, I like Deathblade on him because he is going to be 3-starred, so he's going to be making great use of that item, but literally any damage items are going to do well on Shaco. I've seen stuff like Bloodthirster work, Giant Slayer, Guardian Angel, all those types of things. For Akali, IE, Hand of Justice is going to be great, and then third item, since she's a legendary unit, you can't really choose. But maybe even like double-handed Justice works out really well on her. For the rest of your team, 5 Syndicate, you want Braum in there. He's going to be the main tank. Darius gives you the bodyguard buff, which is pretty interesting. And then Zyra's going to provide some CC. As for the other assassins, Echo's got a little bit of utility. And then you have a choice between Talon, Twitch, and Katarina. All three are pretty useless because they're mainly damage dealers. But maybe you could even run Twitch because he reduces people's healing. Not really too sure. Maybe he's better than Talon because Talon's damage doesn't really mean that much. On to the next build, we have the Katarina Talon build. This is going to be with 4 Academy, 2 Arcanist, 2 Assassin, and 3 Imperial. I've seen some people not run Imperial at all, just a note, and go all in on the Katarina instead of going for both carries. But I kind of like doing the dual carry because I feel that Katarina doesn't solely dominate everyone as quickly as she should. But items on her, I like blue buff a lot because she gets a cast off really quickly. IE is going to be great, of course, because it's the best assassin item. And then Hand of Justice is great for a little bit of healing. So whenever I run 4 Academy, I like having mana regeneration items even more because all the Academy units buff each other whenever you cast. And then for Talon, Hat's really good because you want to get as big a bleed as possible, and he scales off of ability power. IE, just generic good item, and then I like QSS or RFC as a third item to kind of keep Talon safe. Both of these comps are reroll builds, so for the Shaco comp, you want to reroll at level 7 to get Shaco 3, and then for the Katarina Talon comp, you want to reroll at level 6 because that gives the best chance to get 2-cost units. And once you get them 3-star, you level up, put all the extra units in, and kind of call it a day from there. But of course, guys, always pay attention to the augments that you're getting. You don't want to lock yourself in too early. And also, when you get more augments, you can kind of mix and match certain units and maybe add in some ones that you don't see on this tier list because that's essentially what the name of the game is. I'm going to be coming out with an augment guide in the next couple of days, so do look out for that if you are kind of confused on what they do or when you should take them or what to get. I also will be filling out what augments are good for every single one of these comps are on Friday, so if that is of interest to you and you want to keep learning what the best comps are each and every patch, do subscribe to the channel by clicking the subscribe button down below. And if you guys enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit the like as well because that just helps me out a lot and allows me to continue making videos for hopefully as long as I can. But that's going to be it from me today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Of course, all this info is available on my website. It is, I believe, bunnymuffins.lol/meta-set-6. But I'll leave a link below because that's too much to look out for. But yeah, thanks so much, guys. I will see you all later.